Welcome back everybody. It's great to have you all here again. So let's bring our hands to our heart. Close your eyes. Turn your attention right into you. And notice your breath. And as you inhale, notice your ribs expanding. And as you sigh out your breath, just make it a really long, slow stream of breath out without forcing it. And then repeat that twice more. We'll open this evening with 3 Oms. Exhale, inhale, Om. Inhale, Om. Inhale, Open your eyes, release your hands. So, word of the day is holding on to our confidence. So, we've all had extra news that, you know, this thing is expanding way beyond we initially thought, and now there's another 3 weeks. And you know, now it's becoming, you know, it's become something different. At the start, it was a novelty and it allowed us to get things done and so on. But now it's beginning to really dig in and impact on our lives. And, you know, there will be a lack of confidence, a doubt about, can we get through this? You know, how is this going to impact on our lives, on our personal lives, and on our businesses? And where's the whole thing going to end up? So yeah, I had an edgy day. I've been having a huge time in the garden up until now, and this morning I woke up tired and I thought, oh, I know I'm on tonight teaching and I should prepare for it, and somehow I spent the whole day sort of just sitting in the kitchen and not even getting outside, though it was dull and grey and quite cold here at the start, you know. But I realised I was quite tired as well, you know, so maybe it was no bad thing to stop and do nothing today. But within that nothingness comes a time when you're forced to look at the whole situation, you know, you cannot ignore it. So I hunted out John O'Donoghue's poem, and I'll read it now, and I'll probably read it again at the end of the practice. But I think it sums up really nicely where we are and how we take this forward, how we take our lives forward. So, this is the time to be slow. Lie low to the wall until the bitter weather passes. Try as best you can not to let the wire brush of doubt scrape from your heart all sense of yourself and your hesitant light. If you remain generous, time will come good, and you will find your feet again on fresh pastures of promises, where the air will be kind and blushed with beginning. It's John O'Donoghue, and it's an excerpt from his book, To Bless This Space Between Us. So let's bless the space between us and come into our practice, come into our bodies, and just put down the worries of the world for the next hour. Make your way into down dog, come onto your hands and knees. Place your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Exhale and then lift your hips up. Grip the floor with your fingertips, squeeze your arms together, turn your thumbs up, melt your heart. And how would you lie close to the hedge in your life? What would that take? And step into down dog lunge. So step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand, to the outside edge of the long edge of your mat. Walk your hands forward, allow your head to drop. Look back towards your back foot. Lift your back of your back knee up. Even out your breathing. And switch legs. Front foot back, back foot forward. Walk your hands forward, hands still shoulder width apart. Stretch your front knee away from your back ankle. And step back into plank. Float your shoulders over your wrists. You can do plank on your knees if you're just feeling a bit tired, not up for it this evening. And if you are feeling tired during the practice, sit out one or two of the poses. And just drop in and out of it, don't give up on it. Lower gently to the floor. Coming into locust hands band. Clasp your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Inhale, lift your head and shoulders off the floor. Press the tops of your feet onto the floor, lift your arms up. Gently release and make your way into push up on your elbows. Clasp your hands, turn your toes under, lift your hips off, lift your gaze. And from here move into down dog by moving through, coming onto your hands and knees. Turn your toes under, lift the hips up. Melt your heart. Walk your feet to your hands and come and stand up in the middle of your mat. Come into mountain, hands by your sides. Root down firmly with the 4 points of your feet into the floor. Squeeze shins in. Squeeze inner thighs. Engage your quads. Stretch from your hips to under your armpits. Broaden across your collarbones. Move your ears back. Moving into twisted power pose. Bend your knees, lower your hips, bring your hands as if in prayer, and then turn and cross your body and bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Point your top elbow at the ceiling, sit back in your throne, look towards your toes, super glue your knees together. Inhale, Press down, stand up, bring your hands together in front of your heart once more, close your eyes, turn into your breath. And just think for a moment, there's more right with us and the world than there is wrong. We just have to remind ourselves to keep looking for the good. And bend your knees, lower your hips, and bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee, hands still as if in prayer. Point your top elbow at the ceiling, press top hand into bottom hand. Keep your knees together, knees in line with hips, look at your toes, sit back in your throne. Inhale, press down, stand up, moving into power pose with hands bound. Clasp your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Bend your elbows, keeping your hands clasped together. Place them on the small of your back. Bend your knees, lower your hips, round your back, bring it forward to your knees, lift your arms off your back, sit back in your throne. Bring your arms to vertical or beyond. Press down, stand up, back into Tadasana, mountain pose, root down, stretch the sides of your body long. Move your ears back, stretch arms down, stretch fingers down. Dropping into a place of quiet, of calm. And come and sit down and moving into our favourite pose and at the loft, cosmic abs. So I can hear a general groan. So bend your knees, place your heels in front of your hips on the floor. Shift your weight onto your right hip and start to bicycle your legs up and down, start to bicycle your arms up and down. Arms out to the left. So and really move those shoulders. And count 5 on that right hip. And then switch to the other side. With joy and with graciousness and with a sense of humour. And switch again. And switch again. And release. I'm coming into reverse table. Place your heels in front of your hips, feet hip width apart. Place your hands behind you. Turn your hands out 45 degrees. Walk them back 6 or 8 inches. Press down with your hands, your feet into the floor. Lift your hips up. Stretch your knees away from your shoulders. Grip the floor with your fingertips. And gently release back to the floor. And moving into leg lifts, come and lie on your back. Bend your knees, bring your knees into your chest. Clasp your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers. Bring your elbows into the side of your face. Lift your head and shoulders off the floor. Inhale, stretch your legs up. Exhale, inhale, lower your legs to the floor and exhale, bring them back up. And see if you can do 2 sets of 5. Endeavouring to bring your knees to your elbows. keeping your head and shoulders off the floor. And release, and come and stand up, moving into crescent. Feet together, and just making sure the root of your second toe is lining up at the middle of your ankle. Inhale, lift your arms overhead and bring your hands together, but don't interlace them. Move your hips to the right, your torso to the left, and be as sideways as possible. Doesn't matter if you get it mixed up and you don't know which side you should be on, because there's always the other side. Keep stretching your hands away from you. At the same time, root down with your feet. Inhale, come back up and switch to the other side. Inhale, come back to centre. Walk to the back of your mats. And moving into a high lunge. Lift your arms overhead once more, bring your palms together. Take a big step forward with your right foot and lift the back of your back knee up. And be as sideways as possible over your the right side of your body. So you're back into crescent really, but you're doing it with your legs in lunge. Inhale, come back up, keep your arms up and pivot to the back of the mat. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Lift your back right heel off the floor, bend your front knee, sink down, stretch your hands, arms up, look up. Be as sideways as possible towards the left. Inhale, come back up and come to centre. From here we'll make our way down into plank. Lower your hands either side of your right foot and step your right foot back, float your shoulders over your wrists, lift your head, look up. And lower gently to the floor and come all the way down. We're moving into topsy-turvy, superhero. Lift your right arm and your left leg off the floor. Press the top of your right foot into the floor. Lift that right knee off the floor, keeping the foot on the floor. Press your left hand into the floor, lift your elbow off the floor and stretch. And switch to the other side. Left arm, hand, right leg and stretch it out. And release, and then into superhero. Squeeze your legs together, inner heels, inner shins, inner thighs, and lift everything off the floor. and gently release. And moving back into plank on your elbows, clasp your hands, elbows under your shoulders, turn your toes under, lift your knees off the floor, lift your hips off the floor, squeeze your heels together, your legs together. And release. And from here, make our way to down dog. Place your hands, come onto your hands and knees. Turn your toes under, lift your hips up. Step forward into no hand lunge. Lift your right foot and step it forward to the outside of your right hand. Torso upright. Clasp your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Pivot your back foot so the back foot comes to the floor and your toes are now pointing towards the long edge of the mat. Front shin vertical, thigh parallel. Lift your torso, broaden across your collarbones, and then hinge forward and bring your upper body to the inside of your front leg. Lift your arms off your back. More doable, hands together. More doable, wrists apart. More difficult, wrists together. Engage your quad or your back leg. Drop your head, look back between your legs. Lower your hands, press down to your front foot, stand up and pivot. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Lift your chest, expand before hinging forward, bend your knees. Lower your upper body to the inside of your front leg, lift your arms off your back. Press down, straighten your front knee, stand up, turn your left foot in. From here we'll move into warrior two. Turn your right foot out. Line up your front heel so it bisects the arch of your back foot, your left foot. Float your arms up. Look out over your right hand arm, bend your right knee, sink down, then move your front knee out in line with your second toe. Be careful not to lean your upper body over your front leg, so it's not like this. Keep your upper body nice and straight and sink down. And switch to the other side. Straighten your front leg, turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out. Look out over your left hand arm, bend your front knee, sink down. Move your front knee out in line with your second toe. Lift your chin slightly. If it's available for you, sink down even more. And press down and stand up and switch sides. Moving into Trikonasana. You might like to use a block or a book. I'll use a block in this case. With your right foot forward, turn it out so it's pointing towards the short end of your mat. Float your arms up again. Keeping that, look out over your right hand arm and then lean forward and then place your hand on the block. Lift your top arm up to vertical. Roll your hips back, your ribs back. Engage your quads. And press down and stand up, and take your block with you if you're using your block. Turn your right foot in, turn your left foot out, place your block on the little toe side of your left foot, float your arms up again. Inhale, exhale, lean forward, place your hand on the block, lift your top arm up to vertical. Press down, stand up, left foot in, right foot out, moving into reverse mudra. Step your back foot closer to your front foot and move your front foot more towards the right hand side of your mat. Your back foot is pointing towards the left hand side of the mat. Come into reverse mudra, lift your arms up, inhale, exhale, hinge forward. If you can't get your hands to the floor, blocks are good to use here. Bring your chin to your shin. Draw your right hip back, your left hip forward. And press down and stand up and switch to the other side. So back foot forward, front foot back. Lift your arms up. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward, place your hands on the floor, chin to shin. From here we'll make our way into half moon. I like to use a block in this. Again, if you have a book or a block, it's a good thing to do. Standing halfway back on your mat, lift your right arm up, step forward with your right foot, bend your right knee, lean forward, place your hand on the block, lift your back leg out behind you, lift your top arm up to vertical, turn the outside edge of your back foot up towards the ceiling, engage your core. And release and switch to the other side. Walk towards the back of your mat again. Lift your left arm up. Step forward with your left foot. Bend your left knee. Lean forward. Place your hand on the block. Lift your top leg up. Turn the outside edge of your top foot up towards the ceiling. And then lift your right arm up. Engage the quads of the standing leg, and then gently lift your gaze to gaze out in front of you. Stacking your right hip on top of your left hip. And release and come to the floor. And moving into power pose. Lift your arms up overhead. Step your feet slightly apart if you wish. Inhale, stretch up, and then bend your knees and sink down and engage your core. Push into your ankles. Back straight. And release. And moving into elevated pigeon. Bend your knees. Lift your right foot and place your ankle across your left knee. This may be as far as you go. Or you can lift it up and bring the sole of your foot into the crook of your arm and the knee into the crook of the other arm. Press down with the standing leg and be as upright as possible. And release and switch to the other side. Shift your weight onto your right foot, Bend your right knee, lift your left leg up, bring the outside edge of your left foot across your right knee. Stay here, more doable. You could just put your hands on your hips, or if you felt like it, you could put your hands on the floor if you didn't feel like lifting your knee any higher. So I'll just go back to that. And then lift your leg and bring the sole of the foot into the crook of the arm, the knee into the crook of the arm on the other side. Clasp your hands and then begin to straighten up. Make your lifted foot active by pushing your heel away, drawing your toes back. And release. Well done, if you're still with me on that. From here, we'll move into dancing yogi, and we're just going to get a drink because my mouth is dry. Excuse me a minute. It's hard to talk and teach at the same time. I don't know how yoga teachers do it. I can only teach. Not good at multitasking. Okay, so moving into dancing yogi. Stretch your left arm out in front of you, hand in line with your shoulder, and then invite the shoulder blade, the top of the head and the arm bone, back into the shoulder socket. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Bend your right knee, clasp your right ankle with your right hand. Stay here, more doable, more difficult. Kick your leg up and back, but keep drawing that left shoulder back. And release. And make your way into the other side. Lift your right arm up. Draw your right shoulder back into the shoulder socket. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Bend your left knee, clasp your ankle. And this may be as far as you go. That's fine. Or lean forward slightly and kick that leg up and back. And make your way out of that with a modicum of grace and release to the floor. From here we'll move into revolved half moon. So come on, inhale, lift your arms up, bend your knees and place your hands on the floor. Walk your hands forward so that they're under your shoulders, your hands are shoulder width apart. Keep your right hand on the floor, lift your left arm up. Keep the opposite foot on the floor, which is your left foot, and lift your right foot off the floor. I got that right. Stretch your left arm up, your right leg out behind you, and look at the floor. It's okay to have a bend in your left knee. And you can also use your hand on the block here. And release. And switch to the other side. And I'm going to use a block on this side. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward. And place your hand on the floor on a block. Keeping your left hand on the floor, lift your right arm up and lift the opposite leg out behind you. Look down. From here, move to down dog. Walk hands forward, walk feet back, hands wider than shoulders. melt your heart. Make your way onto your hands and knees and moving into forearm lunge. Step your right foot forward to the outside of your right hand and move your right foot to the outside edge of your mat. And then either lower your elbows onto a block or onto a book or bring your elbows to the floor. Clasp your hands together. Turn your toes under of your back foot. Stay here, more doable. More difficult, lift the back knee off the floor. Stretch your front knee away from your back heel. Your front shin should be vertical. Your knee should be over your ankle. And release your knee to the floor and come up onto your hands and switch feet. Front foot back, back foot forward. Lower down onto your elbows, clasp your hands, turn your toes under, lift your back knee off the floor. And release. And making our way into revolve lunge. Keep your front foot where it is. Move your right hand out to the right hand side of the mat. Lift your left arm up. Stay here, more doable with your knee on the floor. Or turn your toes under, lift the back of your back knee up. And release. And switch sides, front foot back, back foot forward, and lower down onto your elbows. Clasp your hands together, turn your back toes under, either stay here, more doable, or lift your back knee off the floor. Release your knee to the floor. Walk your hands out to the left, your left hand. Lift your right arm up, look up, and either stay here or lift your back knee off the floor again. Front shin vertical, knee over ankle. And release. And moving into monkey lunge quad stretch. Move your right foot back, move your left foot forward, and bring your torso upright. Stay here. No, don't stay here. You have got to reach back and clasp your ankle. You might want to use a strap or a belt or a tie, and then keeping that, move your hips forward and down. If it's available to you, you can put two hands on the foot to bring your heel closer to your hip, or simply keep your left hand on top of your left thigh. Then stretch your sides of your body long, lift your head, your chest, look up. Point your elbows at the ceiling. And release, and switch to the other side. Front foot back, back foot forward. Bend your back knee, reach back with your left hand and bring your heel to your hip. And then, as I say, you can place your hand on your knee, or if you're feeling wobbly in the pose, you can get a block and place your hand on the floor like that, or a book. Or place your two hands, more difficult. Move your hips forward and down. Lift your head, look up. release. Moving on, we'll come into elevated half frog. Make your way on to lying down on your front. Bring your left forearm across the front of your body, elbow under shoulder, and come up. Lift your upper body off the floor. And then bend your right knee. Bring your heel to your hip and reach back with your right hand and clasp your ankle. This is more doable, more difficult. Place your hand on top of your toes, pivot your fingers forward, and then come up high onto your elbows. More doable, stay here. More difficult, stretch your hand out in front. Squeeze your knees together. So there's a range of various options there for people's bodies. And if your knees are bugging you, do this just standing up, holding onto a wall. And gently release. And switch to the other side. Come onto your right elbow, bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand, and then pivot your hand on top of your foot. Press the top of your right foot into the floor, lift your chest, stretch your spine. Stay here on your elbow, or stretch your arm out. Squeeze your knees closer together. Point your top elbow at the ceiling. And gently release. And from here we'll make our way into a bow pose. So our quads have been well stretched. Bend your knees, bring your heels into your hips, reach back and clasp your ankles with both hands. Keep that. And then kick your heels up your back. Use your legs to lift your head and shoulders off the floor. Squeeze your knees together. And release and come to down dog. Make your way onto your hands and knees, and we're moving into twisted sage. So sit down on your right hip, knees together, and place your left foot so it bisects the arch of the right foot. Place your right hand on the left knee, place your left hand behind you, and you can put your hand on a block. Sometimes it's better to get a stretch in a spine, and then look over your front shoulder. So press down with your sit bones into the floor, endeavouring to keep our knees together. And sometimes it's very hard to get our balance in this, so you might want to prop something under you, like a cushion, to stop yourself from falling over. And release and switch to the other side. Twists are great for getting rid of stuff that gets stuck in us. So we're sitting on our left hip now, and the sole of my right foot is bisecting the arch of my left foot. I'm placing my left hand on top of my right knee, and I'm placing my right hand behind you, and I'm looking over my front shoulder. I'm pressing down with my sit bones into the floor. I'm sitting as upright as possible. From here we'll move into east stretch. Walk your hands back, stretch your legs out. Hands wider than shoulders. Separate your fingers, grip the floor with your fingertips. Inhale, lift your hips off the floor. Straighten your legs, squeeze your ankles together. Allow your head to drop. Lift your hips up high, bring your toes to the floor. And gently release. And wiggle your toes because you often have cramp after that pose in your toes, at least as I do. And I'm doing it for years and I can't get the cramps to go away. Okay, moving into staff pose. Squeeze your legs together, roll your inner thighs in towards each other, and then grab the flabby bits of your bum and pull them out so that you're creating space. Place your hands so the heel of your hands are just in line with your hips. Stretch the sides of your body long. Squeeze ankles together, shins together, engage your quads. Be as upright as possible, move your ears back. Keep engaging your quads. We'll move into west stretch from here. Inhale, lift your arms up. Now more doable, separate your feet slightly. More difficult, keep them together. Exhale, hinge forward. Clasp the outside edges of your feet with your hands. Gaze beyond your toes. Squeeze your inner shins, your inner thighs together. Engage your quads. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, sinking down. Keep gazing beyond your toes unless you can get your head to your legs. Rolling your inner thighs towards each other. Soften your elbows. Inhale, make your way out of that and into bridge pose. Come and line your backs. Bend your knees. Place your heels in front of your hips. Feet hip width apart. Lift your hips momentarily off the floor. Walk your hands in underneath. Clasp your hands together. Shrug your shoulders from side to side. Keep that. Press down with your feet into the floor. Float your hips up. Lift your chin out of your chest. See if you can lift your hips even 5% higher. And gently allow your arms out and then walk your spine down vertebrae by vertebrae onto the floor. Moving into thread the needle, lift your right foot, place the outside edge of your right foot on top of your knee. Lift your left foot off the floor, bring your left knee into your chest, thread your hands between your legs and clasp your left thigh or your left knee. Make both feet active. Push your heels away, draw your toes back. Press your lower back into the floor. And release and switch to the other side. Lift your left foot, place the outside edge of it on top of your right knee, and then bring your right knee into your chest. Again, keeping both feet active. And release. And we're moving out of time. So let's come into reclined west stretch. Bend your knees, clasp the outside edges of your feet with your hands, stretch your legs up. More doable, legs apart, like hip width apart, more difficult together. And invite your toes to come down towards your head. Press the backs of your thighs up towards the ceiling. Allow your elbows to relax. Keep pushing through your heels. Keep pressing your lower back into the floor. Gently release. And move into double diamond with knees bent. Bring your feet to the floor. Walk your feet out to the long edges of the mat at the side. Make goalposts of your arms by bending your elbows. Bring the backs of your arms, the backs of your hands to the floor. Allow your knees to come down to the left. Keeping that, lift your head off the floor and turn it to the right. Look away from your knees. Place it back on the floor again. And then allow gravity to take your body down. Stay here, more doable, more difficult. Lift your left outer edge of your foot and place it on top of your right knee and invite the right knee to come closer to the floor, or just stay where you are. And switch to the other side. Knees back to centre, bring them all the way to the right. And then lift your right foot and place it on top of your left knee. Lift your head off the floor and look away from your knees. All the time pressing the backs of your hands, arms into the floor and endeavouring to keep your shoulder blades together under your back. And release. And move into reclined child's pose. Bring both knees into your chest and give yourself a divine hug. Just gently moving around and massaging your spine, feeling how good that feels. And from here, make your way into relaxation, into Shavasana. So, make yourself comfortable. See if you can get a blanket or something to go over you. Or perhaps you have an iPad or an eye pillow and put that over your eyes or a scarf or something. And we're going to be here for the next few minutes. You have nothing to do, nowhere to go. Our Shavasana would approximately be about 7 minutes long. Begin to deepen your breathing. Bring your attention back to your body, onto the mat and into the room. Very gently begin to awaken your body by moving your hands, your feet, and if you like, give yourself a stretch. And then bend your knees and roll to one side and just pause on one side for a moment before pushing yourself back up to sitting. Bring your hands together as if in prayer one last time. Turn ourselves, each other, and practice. We close with one arm. Exhale. Inhale. Thanks for practicing. Thanks for coming to practice. And see you on the mat.